And so begins the misconception of Hiranyaksha. Hiranya means gold, and Aksha means eyes. One whose eyes were always on gold. And it is stated that Hiranyaksha was very expert and that he managed to take the gold from the earth, and that as a result, when he took all the gold from the earth, that the earth lost its balance, and as a result fell out of its orbit and fell down in the universe and landed in the Garbhodak Ocean at the bottom of the universe. And then of course, the Lord appears. And because he picks up the earth from a dark place low in the universe, he takes the form of a boar. And then as a boar, he just lifts up the earth from the waters. Yes, then we hear that Hiranyaksha was challenging the Lord to a fight, but the Lord just simply moved away from him, and Hiranyaksha was calling out to him, "You coward, you're not following the principles of when you are challenged to combat. Stop." But the Lord was carrying the earth, and so he was first making sure that he would put the earth in a safe place. And then he was ready for the fight with Hiranyaksha. Then he was very much ready. In the verses that follow in the chapter, it is said that the demon was, yes, describing the Lord, insulting him and this and that. And it is explained that, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Lord is a personality. And that therefore, as he wrote in his poem to his spiritual master, "In personal calamity thou hast moved, absolute is sentient, thou hast proved." So the Supreme Lord is sentient, or he has feelings like we do, and like all living beings have. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says the Lord is not very happy when someone is blaspheming him, and he is pleased when someone offers prayers as a symptom of love. Because after all, part of being sentient is that we want to be loved. We don't particularly like it when we are criticized. Who likes that? Can be very upsetting when others are criticizing. So Hiranyaksha was expert at criticizing, minimizing, blaspheming, and he had a whole repertoire when it came to that. And yes, Hiranyaksha was also seeing the Lord as a demigod. In the next verse, he is referring to the Lord as, "O best of the demigods, dressed in a form of a boar." So he thought that Lord Vishnu was a powerful demigod who had mystic power, and as such, that he was playing games and using his mystic power. And yes, Hiranyaksha knew about Vishnu, and he knew that Vishnu had caused a lot of trouble amongst the demons. Now, in his understanding, most of the time, Vishnu was just staying invisible and always hiding. we find that later, after Hiranyaksha's death, then we get a chapter where Hiranyakasipu is speaking. And Hiranyakasipu is pacifying his mother. And as he's pacifying his mother, Hiranyakasipu is saying that that the soul continues to live on after death, and therefore death is not at all to be taken serious. And he's also referring to Vishnu. But first, let me say, so Hiranyakasipu apparently had some transcendental knowledge, right? But still, he was envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, whatever knowledge he had didn't benefit him. It just somehow or other could, it was just used to make offenses. And Hiranyakasipu then said that to his mother, after the death of Hiranyaksha, that the Lord is a coward, right? Vishnu is a coward, and he is always keeping himself invisible and hiding himself within the heart of the devotees, right? And said they looked for him everywhere and anywhere, but couldn't find him. Right? But they say that he's hiding in the heart of the devotees. Well, okay, so this is this concept that the Lord is invisible was also reiterated by Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha said, yes, you have caused so much havoc. You've caused so much havoc, but all this time you remained invisible. So being invisible, yes, that is your trick, right? You keep yourself invisible by your mystic power, and then you suddenly attack. And in this way, you were able to vanquish many of the Daityas. But now you're facing me. So now the game is over. Yes, of course, yes. I mean, no one can match my strength. We see that Hiranyaksha lived in this understanding of himself, that he was so powerful, there was just no one, and it had been confirmed. He had challenged the most powerful in the universe. And in fact, he had gone to Varuna, the demigod that controls the ocean, and he had challenged Varuna to a fight. But Varuna had said, no, I'm now an old man, so I'm not a proper match for you. But I know one who can actually fight with you. And he will actually smash you. And, and all that will remain of you is food for dogs. Right? But that part, Hiranyaksha didn't pay any attention to. Yeah. But one who can fight with me. Who is that? So he sent him to Lord Vishnu. So in this way, we can see how things are unfolding. So in earlier verses of the chapter, you rascal, you have been nourished by our enemies to kill us. Text number 4. And you have killed some demons by remaining invisible. O fool, your power is only mystic. So today I shall enliven my kingdom, my kinsman, by killing you. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport refers to the commentary of Sridhar Swami, and that Srila Sridhar Swami was saying the killing of the Lord is not really killing, because the killing of the Lord is actually giving liberation. Yes. Therefore, we should always understand that when the Lord is killing, that it is different than the killing that we know in this world, where one mundane person kills another. That's another thing. When the Lord kills, he actually gives liberation. And it's important. I met someone who had read the Krishna book and somehow or other opened the book just somewhere in the middle and wound up in the chapter where the army of Jarasandha is around Mathura, and Krishna and Balaram come out of the gates and they start smashing this army. And then there's a detailed description, rivers of blood and with little islands that are the elephants, and rocks that are heads that are cut off. And it's like that. It's like it's a whole thing about blood and cut heads and such things. So when the person read this, said, "Oh, this is too much. This is too ghastly. This is very, very ghastly." Therefore, we should always remember, no, anyone who is killed by the Supreme Lord is getting liberation. Therefore, the Lord is blessing actually that person. So it's not just the same as an ordinary person killing another ordinary person. It is not like that at all. Yeah. So that's an important point. And it's made by Sridhar Swami, that point. The original Bhagavatam commentator. The demon continued, "When you fall dead, with your skull smashed by the mace hurled by my arms, the demigods and sages who offer you oblations and sacrifice and devotional service will automatically cease to exist like trees without roots." So we can see that Hiranyaksha had Vedic knowledge. He was aware that the demigods are offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that as a result, they are getting benefits and that they depend. And so when Lord Vishnu is killed, then the whole objective of yajna will also be finished, and then the demigods will also perish. That was his idea. So all in one stroke, all I have to do is smash your skull with my club, which I'm just about to do. Are you ready for it, you amphibious beast? Yeah, this Vishnu. And now he's taken the form of an animal. What games, what tricks does he think he's playing? And Hiranyaksha, even his hair was golden, so it is described. And he had a huge form, enormous. He used to, for sports, stand into the ocean up to his knees and with his clubs smashing the waves. Like a game of table tennis. So in this way, Hiranyaksha was quite absorbed in himself, to say the least. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain, but seeing that the earth on the end of his tusk was frightened, he rose out of the water just as an elephant emerges with his female companion when assailed by an alligator. The demon, who had golden hair on his head and fearful tusks, gave chase to the Lord while he was rising from the water, even as an alligator would chase an elephant. roaring like thunder. He said, "Are you not ashamed of running away before the challenging adversary? There's nothing reproachable for shameless creatures." Yes. The Lord placed the earth within his sight on the surface of the water and transferred to her his own energy in the form of the ability to float on the water. While the enemy stood looking on, Brahma, the creator of the universe, extolled the Lord, and the other demigods rained flowers on him. So this is also an important point, because we heard that the earth had fallen into the ocean and was sinking, and then the Lord pulled him out of the ocean, and then we see the Lord puts him on top of the ocean again. So how is this? But he also gave the earth the ability to float. So in that way, he resolved that issue, and he kept the earth in a safe place, in a place where, yes, he could keep an eye on the earth, but at enough distance, so that the fight could begin. Of course, we know in previous chapters in the Bhagavatam, we find the description of the two gatekeepers of the Lord, Jai and Vijay. And we remember that the four Kumaras, who were like, somehow or other, they were the sons of Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma had asked them to become Prajapatis and to have offspring and to populate the universe. But the four Kumaras did not agree, and in fact, the four Kumaras remained in the bodies of 5-year-olds, so that they would have nothing to do with sex, desire, and sexual activity, and so on. So they just stayed brahmacharis, 5-year-old brahmacharis. So the interesting thing is that although they were sages, although they had transcendental knowledge, in temperament, in some ways, they were still like 5-year-old boys. So it is said when they came to the gate, and when Jai and Vijay stopped them, they became angry because they were, after all, 5-year-old boys. And as a result, they cursed these gatekeepers and said, what is this? You are behaving in such a way. You are blocking us. You're blocking us from entering the gates. So this is totally inappropriate. Therefore, you should take birth as a demon. Right? So in this way, they were cursed. And so Jai and Vijay became Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha. Yes, and they were, of course, twins. And it said that Hiranyaksha, he came out of the womb first, and Hiranyakasipu second, and that is why Hiranyakasipu was the oldest. Right? Isn't it? I mean, Hiranyaksha came out of the womb first, Hiranyakasipu came out of the womb second, and therefore Hiranyakasipu was the oldest. Right? I thought so. I thought some of you might be sleeping. But no, it was right, because Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the one who, in the case of twins, the one who is conceived first, he is the deepest in the womb. And therefore, the one who's conceived second is on top of the other one. And so it is said the twin that is conceived latest, he comes out first. Therefore, Hiranyaksha was the youngest, and Hiranyakasipu the elder one. It was close, because they were twins, but technically speaking. And it was it was observed like that. So these two brothers came cursed, and then they had the opportunity to either live 3 lives as demons or 7 lives as devotees, and they chose to live as demons. And here we go. So the personality of Godhead said, indeed, we are Vanagochara, creatures of the jungle. So this time Vanagochara is translated as creature of the jungle, not an amphibious beast. So indeed, we are creatures of the jungle, and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose dog in which you're indulging, for you're bound up by the laws of death. Yes. Boars are not just little animals, right? And boars are wild boars are dangerous, as we know, and they're powerful. Therefore, such wild dogs, or these kind of wild boars, they also could be a match for the hunting dogs. They basically had the power to kill hunting dogs, right? So now the Supreme Personality of God, it says, yes, indeed, we are creatures of the jungle, and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose dog in which you are indulging, for you are bound up by the laws of death. So they're insulting each other a bit. Of course, the Lord is telling him straight, but still he calls him a dog. Certainly we've stolen the charge of the inhabitants of Rasatala and have lost all shame. Although bitten by your powerful maze, I shall stay here in the water for some time, because having created enmity with a powerful enemy, I now have no place to go. So, although bitten by your powerful maze, I shall stay here for some time. We remember that later in the chapter, there is an interesting moment where, the Lord is first, he's blocking the weapon of Hiranyaksha, and with expert maneuvers, with his club against club and all that. But at one point, Hiranyaksha is hitting the Lord full with his club on the head, and there's no effect at all, nothing. The Lord just stands there smiling, and then he gives a little slap, and Hiranyaksha's weapon falls out of his hand. Then the Lord bends over, picks up the club, and offers it back to Hiranyaksha. Take, try again, take it. But Hiranyaksha did not want to. Oh no, he did not accept that. He was greatly insulted, by that. No. He did not touch that club. So very interesting how the Lord is also playing with the mentality of false pride of the demon. And he's not just killing him, but he is actually making arrangements to purify him from his false ego, purify him from that demoniac mentality, taking so much pride in his power. But only a demon who would not recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead would take so much pride in power, because anyone else would understand that my power is limited. And even in front of nature, what is my power? It's like there are so many great overpowering aspects of nature, like an earthquake or a flood or a forest fire. These are all overpowering forces, and then there's nothing we can do. Then we pray, because it's only the Supreme Lord who can still do. When the tsunami comes, what can we do? Nothing. Then your, then your country goes underwater. Right? Finished. Tsunami. Or when in some countries they have earthquakes. In New Zealand, so many earthquakes they had, and even the Hare Krishna temple. Even the Hare Krishna temple was in Christchurch was greatly affected, and even the deities broke. So the pujari on the altar, as the earthquake began and the deities were shaking, he embraced them and held them. And then the earthquake threw them off the altar, and they fell, and then the deities were broken anyway. It was the plan of the Lord. What can be said? Who can understand? But anyway, the overpowering forces of nature. So anyone with half a brain can understand that no matter how strong we are, how brilliant we are, that there are many forces around us that are greater. But Hiranyaksha was especially empowered. So he didn't see that. Hiranyakasipu, of course, was thinking, there is no power greater than me. There's only one problem, and that is death. And if I solve that one, then I've solved all problems, because the rest I can deal with. The rest I can solve. Whatever happens, that I can deal with. But okay, death is a complication. So for that, he was, for that he was praying, praying to Lord Brahma for immortality. All right, we'll read the next verse also. So it's still the Lord who's speaking. You're supposed to be the commander of many foot soldiers, and now you may take prompt step to overthrow us. Give up all your foolish talk and wipe out the cares of your kith and kin by slaying us. One may be proud, yet he does not deserve a seat in the assembly if he fails to fulfill his promised word. So in this way, the Lord challenged the demon. Maitreya said, the demon, being thus challenged by the personality of Godhead, became angry and agitated, and he trembled in anger like a challenged cobra. Hissing indignantly, all his senses shaken by wrath, the demon quickly sprang upon the Lord and dealt him a blow with his powerful mace. The Lord, however, by moving slightly aside, dodged the violent mace blow aimed at his breast by the enemy, just as an accomplished yogi would elude death. The personality of God had now exhibited his anger and rushed to the demon, who bit his lip in rage, took up his mace again, and began to repeatedly brandish it about. Thus, with his mace, the Lord struck the enemy on the right of his brow. But since the demon was expert in fighting, O gentle Viduri protected himself by a maneuver of his own mace. So in this way, it was a major fight. The Hiranyaksha was a very powerful enemy, very powerful. And he showed great skill in fighting. in this, he's also called Haryaksha, Hiranyaksha of Haryaksha. There was keen rivalry between the two combatants. Both had sustained injuries on their bodies from the blows of each other's pointed maces, and each grew more and more enraged at the smell of blood on his persons. In their eagerness to win, they performed maneuvers of various kinds, and their contest looked like an encounter between two forceful bulls for the sake of a cow. So it was quite a fight, not just a quick 1, 2, 3, and the demon was defeated. It was a serious, it was a serious battle. Yeah. O descendant of Kuru, Brahma, the most important demigod of the universe, accompanied by his followers, came to see the terrible fight for the sake of the world between the demon and the personality of Godhead, who appeared in the form of a boar. Yes, of course, Lord Brahma, when he came to see, he knew very well what the outcome would be. Right? He knew that the Lord would kill Hiranyaksha, and so he didn't come to the fight to see who was going to win. It was obvious who was going to win, but he wanted to see how the Lord would win and how he played. And we see that in the end, Hiranyaksha is killed quite casually, right? Although there is like an incredible exchange of power. In the end, the Lord just with a casual, not like with a serious, but with just a casual movement of his hoof, yes, sort of a slap more than like a blow, right? Not a blow with all his might, No, just a casual slap, and that was it. That knocked him over, finished him off, and Hiranyaksha was no more. So, although the Lord, there seemed moments that the demon's power was a match to the Lord, and the demigods were getting concerned. But in the end, the Lord showed that, this demon is insignificant for me. In this way, the Lord performs his transcendental pastimes. So Lord Varahadev is a Leela avatar, a pastime incarnation of the Lord. And as such a pastime incarnation, he is particularly performing his pastimes to increase the faith of his devotees. Paritaranaya sadhanam vinasya saduskritam dharma samsarpanatya sambhavami yuge yuge. The Lord comes to annihilate the demons and to deliver the devotees. In the Bhagavatam, in first canto, it is explained that when it comes to delivering the devotees, the Lord particularly comes to reclaim those who are in the mode of goodness, right? Or in the mode of pure goodness. So this is the objective, right? These are the devotees, Sura and Asura. But even, so there are always Suras and also Asuras. And there's always devotees, and there's also the opposite of the devotee, the non-devotee or the demon. Then Jamadhyasya yaton vayaditaratas charte swabhikya sarattene brahmaridaya adhikavye muyanti at suryaha tejo varimadam yatavino Vinimayo yata trisargam risa damna svena sadastari. Damna svena nila kurkam satyam param dimahi. The point is that even the demigods, even they sometimes are bewildered by the illusory power of the Lord, by the Yoga Maya. Even they cannot understand, right, who the Supreme Lord actually is. Even devotees cannot understand the full potency of the Lord. Even devotees, when they see the power of the Lord, they are amazed. When Krishna lifts Govardhan, even the residents of Vrindavan, they were amazed. I just closed the screen because the sun shines in my face now. So even the residents of Vrindavan, they were amazed. They were amazed that to see Krishna's power. And of course, to lift Govardhan Hill, which was just amazing to the residents of Vrindavan, in reality, for Krishna, it's like a child lifting a mushroom. It's an insignificant activity for Krishna. And it's not at all a great and difficult thing to do. In the same way, to fight with this giant demon, and who was a great threat to the demigods. So the demigods were really intimidated by the power of this demon. And then, so Krishna played in his lila with the demon's feelings, and he also played with the feelings of the demigods. Krishna is known as Daksha. Which means, Daksha means expert. And then in the Nectar of Devotion, the expert is defined as one who can fulfill many purposes with one action. So Krishna did so. So in this whole situation, Krishna was, on the one hand, he was making arrangements to purify the demon. And on the other hand, he made arrangements to also purify the demigods by bringing them to a point where first the Lord is fighting with the demon, and it's not so sure who's going to win, and the demigods are in anxiety, right? Because what if he defeats the Lord? Then what are we going to do? Then who will protect us? And then in the end, right, it is just so easy and so casually done that the demigods suddenly realize that the Lord is unlimitedly powerful, and he can just very easily dispose of some demon. Actually, it has no meaning, and actually there is no question of struggle. And they became aware of the transcendental power and potency of the Supreme Lord. So in this way, the Lord is fulfilling a multi-purpose. And the multi-purpose is to check the demoniac forces. And at the same time, not just to check the demoniac forces, but to purify them also, and ultimately to give liberation. Of course, that took 3 births, right? So Hiranyakasipu was not fully purified yet. Only after the 3rd birth was he ready to go back to Godhead. But the Lord made arrangements, subtle arrangements to purify him. At the same time, the Lord was protecting the demigods, but by his Leela, he was also showing them his greatness, actually, and playing with their feelings and making them also more aware of the greatness of the Supreme Lord, and therefore reinforcing that feeling of taking shelter, which they already had, even more. So this is also what is happening. So the devotees are naturally inclined towards the Supreme Lord. They take shelter, and they do so with love, and the Lord is increasing this, makes arrangements to increase this desire in the heart of the devotee to take shelter. So as he was playing with the demigods and the demons, he's also playing with us. If we just for a moment look to our everyday life, then we can also appreciate that the Lord is also playing with our feelings, and he is also doing so to increase our dependence upon him, to increase our desire to turn to him, and to diminish our false pride. So in this way, we are also going through so many things where our false pride is diminished, and then we'll turn more to the Supreme Lord. And in this way, he is trying to increase our attachment to him. So the Leela avatars, in these Leela avatars, the Lord is particularly reaching out to the conditioned souls in the material world, performing a pastime in the material world to attract them, and then when some faith is there, to bring them to worship, and then bring them to becoming devotees and giving their life in service to the Supreme Lord. And then bind them more and more with love. And this is the purpose of the Supreme Lord. And so we're seeing these pastimes also in that way. Okay. Now there are 10 minutes left. And so I want to ask for some questions. I see 12 things on the chat. I can have a quick look to see what is there. Okay. What were the 3 births Jai and Vijay took? I heard they were Jagai and Madai and Sri Chaitanya Lila. Okay. Well, let us. Okay, you put a whole bunch of things in one question. So let's first deal with the 3 births. So we see Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha in the first birth, then Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and then Shishupal and Dantavraka in the first birth, in the third birth, and that was the final one. And from there they returned to the spiritual world. However, then they appeared again as Jagai and Madai in Chaitanya Lila. That was the 4th birth, because they had attained liberation, but they had not attained Krishna Prem. But now, as Jagai and Madai, they got some special mercy that they could also attain Krishna Prem. Regarding Lord Varaha's divine appearance, Dvadasi, do we continue to fast, taking Ekadasi Prasadam? Next day, Srinichananda Trayodasi. Again, we fast from grains. I think we can just take 1 grain of rice or something like that. just a symbolic little fast breaker, not a spoon, just really a crumb of grain, just so that we have broken the fast, but yet we are also maintaining the fast. Right? For those who are doing full fast, they can just break the fast. If there's some who are fully fasting, they can break the fast with water, and that is like the best, right? But if you're not doing full fast, then okay, a crumb, a minuscule crumb, unless you are taking medication, yeah, then it's another story. I myself also am taking some medication right now, and if you don't eat, you burn a hole in your stomach. So I will eat something for sure. And even tomorrow, I will not eat a crumb. I will eat a cracker. I'll eat a cracker and then I'll take my pills. What to do? That's another matter. But if we are in good health and no medication, then we can eat a crumb tomorrow. Yes. But whether a crumb or a cracker, yes, fasting should be there. Okay, now it has moved on its own. Okay, I went to the top. How come we observe Varaha's appearance in much bigger manner than, for example, instance, Matsyas or Kurmas or even Buddhas for that matter? Yes, there are a number of incarnations of the Lord described where he is revealing some more of his opulences. So in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, it is explained that Lord Varaha is showing more of his power than in the other incarnations. Then in the Lord Nrsimha and Lord Ramachandra and Krishna, they show all the opulences, right? So Sada Aishvarya Purna. So they're showing all the opulences complete, but only Krishna shows Madhurya, right? So, and not only Aishwarya, but also Madhurya. But Varaha is showing great power. And because he is showing such great power, that is why he is counted as a more prominent manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Dipartire vihi disantramabhya pecha dipayate vivritehi nusamana. It's said that different incarnations of the Lord, they appear, and it is all like different lamps that are lit from an original lamp, but or candles, but they are not of the same strength as the original. Right? So they're all different degrees of strength, these different incarnations of the Lord. Can we have a link for translation to check, please? Okay, that's not for me. That's there. Okay. How come we observe Varaha's appearance in much bigger manner? I did that. Understand because it's Srila Prabhupada mentions that the modern demons are following in Hiranyakasipu's footsteps by exploitation, or in Hiranyaksha's footsteps by exploitation of oil from the inside of the earth. Similarly, exploitation of Hiranyaksha of the gold from within the planet, which caused the earth to fall into the Garba ocean. My question is, given that the Lord himself came to save the earth from that exploitation, is it also our duty as devotees of the Lord to save the earth from the mother demons? So If so, then how? Yes, it is certainly our duty to save the earth from the demons. But of course, we are not as powerful. The demons are not as powerful as Hiranyaksha was nowadays. Although they're doing their best to destroy the earth, and they are mining anything they can, and just don't care if the surface of the earth is polluted and destroyed. And we have this climate change and so on. So yes, at one point when the demons begin to upset the balance of the earth or of nature, then things get disturbed. So we're facing that. Our duty then to do something to save the earth. We can only take a small piece of earth. Right? We don't have control over the whole earth. If I was the government of the world, right? Say I was a powerful government of the world. The first thing I would do probably is close slaughterhouses. And the next thing I would do is I would stop China from exporting. Right? I wouldn't allow them to export anything finished. Right? This whole export business, I would just stop it. Right? Because here's China polluting the whole world, and I would stop everyone from exporting, because that creates the whole climate thing. Anyway, but I'm not the in charge of the earth, so I can't really do that, right? What we can only think about and maybe try to do is get together and start a project. And in the years to come, one of the things I would like to do is to start an eco farm. And then I will ask all my disciples to help me with that. Yeah? That I have in mind, because I'd really like to. I feel it's just one of the main frontiers, like where our movement can do something, like going to China or going to Africa. There you can do some pioneering. Right? There's still so much Krishna consciousness to be given, and so many places where it hasn't reached. But and another area where we really have to do something is going back to the land. So if there are some devotees who are heroes and who are willing to go back to the land, then we should provide something, some land, and some visas, so that they can be there. And I would like to see that somewhere in Europe. I'd like to start some sort of farm project. That would be nice. But then it will be not a resort. Then it has to be an eco village, and the real thing, you know what I mean? Living off the land, self-sufficiency, no half-baked potatoes. It would have to be fully baked. It would have to be a real effort. Yes, I like to see that. Okay, there's a few more. Of course, you always have 100 questions, but for Sant Panchami, I'm happy. Okay, I answered already for Sant Panchami's question. Yes. So we know that Krishna transcends when he's most needed, and that now he comes in his holy name. But how can we, with our imperfect senses, really understand the effect of the holy name? Yeah, that's difficult to understand. We will not understand the effect of the holy name because we can only see the tip of the iceberg. But seeing the tip of the iceberg, seeing what we can see, we already see something impressive, because we see it's not going away, you know? I mean, really, you know, there is on YouTube, there is an old movie, and it's called Hare Krishna in Hollywood, right? And it just shows some parents that are visiting their son who is in the who's in the temple, and they come, and the mother wants to kiss her son, and he says, "No, mom," you know, and holds out his hand, said, "I'm a brahmachari now," you know, and like this, and she says, "Oh, of course, yes, I understand," and so on. And after a while, his father has to go home because he can't tolerate it any longer, and it's a whole story of how the parents are slowly accepting or slowly being confronted now with this whole change, right? And one of the things that the father says at one point, you know, when his son says to the father, "Yes, yes, father, finally I found the truth, you know. Finally, I found what I've always been looking for. Said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life." And the father said, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, I'll do this for the rest of your life. Yeah, of course, you know, of course. Right? You know, yes, young man, you know, what you know about the influence of time. We will see. But we see the effect of the holy name is that somehow or other we are still here, right? We are still here. We are we're defying the influence of nature. We're here, we're surviving. And not because we are not attracted by Maya, but somehow or other, this chanting of the holy name is protecting us. It is protecting us. So what we can see of the influence of the holy name is already quite something. Then what we cannot see of the influence of the holy name, that's even more. And the more we chant, the more we will be able to see. So let us chant a little more, and maybe we'll be able to see something more. Thank you very much for this interesting lecture to give us the possibility to understand more about Lord Varaha. All the best to everyone. I wish a blissful Nityananda Triyodashi tomorrow. Tomorrow, yes, there will also be lectures. In the morning, I'll give the lecture in Radhadesh at 7:45 Central European time, and that will be streamed. And in the afternoon at 17:30, there will be a Zoom with Berlin, and we'll post all that also on the disciple group. Okay, what else is there? Narayana. Yes, I did all the questions. Well, then I thank you. I wish you a wonderful day. And yes, naturally, we already are meditating on Lord Nityananda's appearance, because especially that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead's appearance, not just in the form of a Leela avatar coming for annihilating demons, and establishing religion. But Lord Nityananda is the one who is coming to give us love of God. So that is therefore even closer to our heart. But offering our obeisances to Lord Varahadev and to the playful nature of the Supreme Lord, which shows that he has a heart and that he is a person. Tomorrow, we will meditate on the merciful heart of Lord Nityananda. And I'm very much looking forward to that. I thank you all, and thank you, dear Shanta, for organizing this lecture. And I will be very happy to give more lectures in the Czech Republic. So if you wish to organize, there'll be lots of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj, for accepting our invitation and for this possibility to have your association today. Thank you very much.
Varaha Avatar Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Maharaj.